Letitia is livid. How dare the Supreme Court actually say that, I'm not going to have a future going after Trump anymore since all these federal judges can't have these nationwide injunctions. Oh, she's going to be basically put out of business, right? Here's her tweet. Let's go to this, guys. I'm going to wind up getting very close to the camera. I'm back in my studio on Monday, but right now we're winging it from the road where I am actually visiting family up in Live Free or Die, New Hampshire. So here we go. We've got Letitia James saying the issue of birthright citizenship was not decided today. SCOTUS remanded to the lower court the authority of federal judges to issue nationwide injunctions. A state attorney general who respects the Constitution is now more important than ever. She knows that she's doomed, okay? This is her way of trying to raise more money to actually get people to buy into whatever it is she's selling. And that's why she's like trying to give herself, it's so obvious. She doesn't even have any sophistication or savoir-faire about how she does these things on Twitter, right? To actually be a state attorney general who respects the Constitution is now more important than ever. Oh my gosh, Tishy, baby. You know what? You don't really respect the Constitution at all, because if you respected the Constitution, you would understand, would you not, that actually the federal government is going to trump you, no pun intended, or maybe, all day long, because they are the ones with the jurisdiction over migration and naturalization, and they're the ones that decide who's in the country, who's not. Okay, so that ship has sailed. You tell yourself whatever you want to tell yourself, but this is what's been going on. The woman's becoming completely unhinged, because every single time these legal decisions come down, we don't know what kind of law school she went to, given that she doesn't even understand. Oh, when you fill out a mortgage application and you sign on the power of attorney and you say that that's going to be your primary residence, you can't actually have those kind of clerical errors that would possibly have influenced your ability to get a better mortgage rate, Letitia, right? That's a whole scandal. Those allegations still going on, and they're going to be very problematic for her. But I'm just saying, she's not the best attorney general in the world, nor is she the best lawyer, but she's very emotional. Right? She's super duper emotional, as we saw recently.
And you want me to sit in my seat and stand idly by and allow this craziness to happen? You can come after me if you want, but you elected me to stand up. You elected me to use the law. You elected me to go to court. You elected me to continue to challenge this administration. You elected me to stand up for the least of God's children. You elected me to continue fighting on, and I will fight on.
I'm sorry, guys. I know you don't want to watch that. But like I said, you need to know how the other side is thinking. So this is a fight to her. You see nothing but a fight. It's a political fight. And, as we just heard from Representative Wesley Hunt, there are real reasons that actually Letitia James should be kind of upset that this 14th Amendment is being extended to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, Tom, Dick, and Harry, and Jill, Susan, and Jane, and I guess everybody in between, since we have that these days, that wants to come to the U.S. Come on. But Letitia James, it's like one thing after another. She filed another suit yesterday. She's running out of money, you see, in the state of New York. And this is what they actually said. He's going to be able to continue doing this. Pam Bondi, you can just shut her off. You can shut her off. And she's not going to be able to have too much to say about it.
People are rising up and standing up against this government, petitioning our government, that in fact, this is not how we operate. This is not what we wanted. This is not what we voted for. Individuals who are demanding due process, and individuals who are demanding that this federal government follow the rule of law. And so I am just really excited about all of the energy that I am seeing on the ground. And I'm also very proud of the fact that the one institution that's standing up and fighting back and holding this administration accountable are the courts.
Yeah. Oh, well. Again, the Supreme Court coming out with a major ruling. And what has been decided is that you cannot have all these random courts with all these lower level judges out there issuing nationwide injunctions. against the president of the United States and his executive orders. So, Letitia, it's kind of game over. Okay? Like, you legally don't have a whole lot of room here. Like I said, you know what? You can bring the whole birthright citizenship up before the court. Maybe it's an interesting and important thing for them to have to decide. Because again, I think when the 14th Amendment was put into play, they didn't think people were going to come here because they had really deep pockets and could afford to effectively buy their kids citizenship by planking themselves down here for 9 months or less. Nor did they think that people were going to come here illegally just so that they could benefit from all the wonderful opportunities American citizenship gives you. I mean, it is something that's uniquely American, but you know what? It's kind of run its course, right? Because we're living in a very different day and age. And so perhaps the court does need to look at that one, and they will. But in the meantime, well, this is going to get interesting because you're going to have the state of New York, for example, sit there and say, sanctuary city, we're going to help all the legal migrants. We're going to take your taxpayer dollars and we're going to use it to fight these battles in court. And you know who's not liking this? Voters. I mean, don't forget, guys, Donald Trump was elected for a reason. He was elected actually for two reasons. One was immigration, and the other was the economy. And so looking at his track record, so far so good, right? You talk about winning. What a week. I mean, last night we got news of the China trade deal that's happening. And now today, this one, on the heels of what happened with Iran, we're talking winning. I'm like, I can't keep up. I was joking that as I was coming to air, and it took us a little longer because the news was coming in and out of Canada with the tariffs, et cetera. And of course, the Supreme Court stuff and the interpretation of all of this. I'm like, we got to get on the air because who knows what's coming next, right? Like it's boom, boom, boom. And it's amazing to see. I mean, truly, I got to tell you, like I've been a journalist for a long time. I've never seen anything like this. It is fast and furious, and he's got a lot of wins. The sail, the wind is right at the back of him right now, so he's sailing forward. Letitia James, however, is not. These are the most recent polls from Siena College, and you can see that Letitia James is looking really kind of dicey there. She's looking 60-40. I mean, unfavorable, and they don't know versus favorable there in the state of New York. The only people that like her are some of the lefties in New York City, the ones that voted for the socialist communist guy who everybody's freaking out over right about now. Senator Chuck Schumer, he's pretty vulnerable too, as is Representative Hakeem Jeffries. But Letitia is actually more vulnerable than both of them because when you add all that up, 60% are not sure that they're going to vote for her. So again, I would just remind you that people voted for Donald Trump for a reason, and New York City is very peculiar and very much its own little island, Manhattan being the center of it. And they have gone extremely left, extremely progressive. We'll see what happens. I actually think Eric Adams is going to have a really good shot there as mayor in New York City because this is just too much. But think about what's happening in the rest of the state. So the rest of the state is very different. I know this, my husband's actually from the Buffalo area, and so we spent a lot of time there in Western New York, and I'm like, wow, look at all the Trump signs. They're everywhere, right? And there's a lot of support for Donald Trump when you get outside of New York City. Well, Letitia James is trying to throw her weight around quite literally in a lot of these places, and she's now trying to probe local cops, including in Western New York, saying, hey, you know what? You're in trouble. If you work with the Trump administration, if you work with ICE, you're going to be in trouble. That doesn't sit well with the rest of the voters. No, it doesn't. And so this is why she's kind of losing her grip. And I suspect she's got a real shot at getting voted out, along with Kathy Hochul. I mean, she's, in the meantime, got other problems, let's face it. I mean, she's got real problems over the allegations of her mortgage situation. And right now, I don't know if she's even going to have the money to be able to fight this. The GOP is saying you don't have access to the $10 million. This is really also a very bad thing for Letitia James vis-a-vis the voters, because it doesn't sit well when they find out that you're using the $10 million of their taxpayer dollars to pay off your expensive lawyers like Abby Lowell, who represented Hunter Biden. That doesn't work. The voters are angry. So I would just say, I don't know, maybe at some point she might actually have to sell her stuff, maybe liquidate some of those assets. A nice little house in Richmond, Virginia. How much do you think that one's worth? Norfolk. Virginia. How much might that one be worth? I wonder. Anyway, she might have to actually liquidate some of her assets in order to pay for her expensive lawyers, because the GOP is like, you're not going to have this 10 million. And so it's funny, like it's like poetic, right? What goes around comes around. Letitia, maybe you should have thought a little more carefully through that mortgage application before you went after Donald Trump for something that clearly you must have a guilty conscience of. I mean, if these allegations are true, woo.
4 days after a judge ordered Donald Trump to pay $355 million for a decade of fraud, New York Attorney General Letitia James says she's prepared to do everything she can to make sure the former president pays his fine, including, she told us, seizing the buildings that bear his name.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
Right? Poetic. You get it, right? Because you wonder if she's going to have to actually, nobody's going to be seizing her assets necessarily, at least not yet, but she's going to have to sell something. Like I said, that Virginia place, I'm not sure how much she's going to get, but enough to pay for the legal bills? I doubt it. Anyway, if she can't, she's looking at 30 years, up to 30 years in prison, because she may have violated 18 U.S.C. 1014, giving false statements to obtain a federally insured loan, 18 U.S.C. 1001, false statements to the U.S. government. Ooh, Letitia, this is not looking good. It's really, really not looking good. She's definitely got problems ahead. So she is not going to be able to fight everything the way that she had anticipated as a result of the Supreme Court's decision earlier today. She's dealing with her own internal struggles there in New York, given that the rest of the state really has no use for her. She is not on board with them. Meanwhile, she's trying to use up all their money to pay for her legal bills while she simultaneously fights this thing, which is looking increasingly problematic as we scale back what's really going on with these allegations. She says she's perfectly innocent. It's just a typo. We're like, okay, aren't you a lawyer? Like, aren't you supposed to know better? Maybe you should be held to a little bit of a higher standard.